We go over some offseason rumors. What are the Hornets expected to do on the trade market this offseason? We'll go through some mock drafts. Doug finally delivers on his mock draft promise, and we'll preview the Knicks game. All today, Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of your Locked On Podcast Network. Messing up already. Your team every day. Thanks for making it your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. That's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. I'm Walker Mehl. You can listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. If you're in Charlotte, by the way, we'll be at Platform Sports Bar and Grill just here on South Boulevard. So that's going to be fun. Crazy Platform Sports Bar, like all TVs all over the place. It's fantastic. Cool. For March Madness, baby. Kicking things off. So if you want to come out and say what's up, please do so. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time? It's been a while, man. Good to see you, Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Doug, why are you smiling today? The mess up or something else?
Oh, I was smiling that we got to do Game Time together again.
I know. Me too. I'm glad that Game Time is in my life again.
I really think if the Hornets are good next year, really the only thing that's kept me from being in Charlotte more and us doing live shows and all these cool things that you get to do when your team is playing well, the only thing that's kept us from doing that is that the Hornets refuse to play well. They refuse to stay healthy. They refuse to enrich our lives and make us happier. But if they do that next season, I hope we do get that opportunity to be at a place like Platform Sports Bar. And I can't wait for the day that you and I, together at a desk, get to say Game Time in unison. And we might actually, being in person, actually say it in unison.
No, we used to do a good job. It's just Game Time hadn't been on with us as much, man. I blame Game Time. I blame the people giving us money. That's what I do. Seems like a smart business decision on my end. We also have a Locked On Hornets newsletter, by the way, lockedondaily.com, your ultimate stop for team coverage. Again, Locked On Hornets daily newsletter, lockedondaily.com. You can sign up for free today. Offseason scuttlebutt. We haven't gotten to some of these rumors and just outright reporting from Marc Stein on the Stein line. We'll just get right to it. Here's what he writes, Doug. Mark Wiilliams is obviously back with the Hornets after the Lakers rescinded their February trade for the Charlotte big man, but some rival execs expect Wiilliams and his trade market to be re-explored this summer. The Hornets have tried to shut down similar speculation about star guard LaMelo Ball. Interesting for tried. They've tried to shut down similar speculation about star guard LaMelo Ball, but the reality remains that Wiilliams, Ball, and Brandon Miller have managed to appear in the same game just 18 times over the past 2 seasons. You read that from the Stein line, from Marc Stein, from, I don't know, whatever else he's called. You read that and you think what?
Well, what do you want first? Do you want my Mark Williams thought or my LaMelo Ball thought or my 18 times over the past 2 seasons thought, because I have some numbers on a Post-it note to help with that conversation. Which one do you want?
Okay, you get to the Post-it note. If you got the Post-it note, then get to that first.
So that interested me that they've only played 18 times together in these 2 seasons, Mark Williams, LaMelo Ball, and Brandon Miller. So, of course, I'm curious, how did those lineups play when they were together? So this season, they've only had 101 minutes together, plus or minus 10, with a net rating of plus 1.3 and an offensive rating of 122. Now, when you look at the starters this season with those 3 together, that net rating jumps up to over 4. The net rating this season, by the way, just for the entire season for the Hornets, minus 8. With an offensive rating of 108. So 122, 108, pretty stark difference when those 3 guys are on the floor together. You go back to last season, a few more minutes, 153 minutes. So in total, They have not played together for 300 minutes. That's insane. Last season, they were plus 14, plus or minus 14 when they were on the floor, a positive 7 net rating with an offensive rating of 118. So obviously, I'm not breaking any news here. When those 3 players play together, the Hornets, they're not world beaters, but they're certainly significantly better than when they don't.
All right, let's boomerang this thing right back to you then. You see all those numbers. Does that affect the way you approach this offseason at all?
No, because they haven't played together. I don't think you can base anything at this point on what could be. You have to just sit in your reality, understand what you have, what the injury risks are, and then move forward on that information as opposed to some dream. This is what has gotten the Hornets in trouble for the past couple of decades now, is dreaming about what could be. Well, if this happens and this happens and this happens, so we don't need to go and make any moves. We don't need to shake things up. And then the losing continues and continues and starts to, I think, infect what you had. Like maybe if things had worked out, you would have had something great. But once the losing starts to set in, it starts to just, trickle down into everything that you're trying to do, your whole process, okay? That's number one. When I look at the speculation about Mark Wiilliams here, that the trade market is going to be re-explored this summer, I just say, duh. Like, yeah, I think they're going to re-explore it because I think Mark Wiilliams has played well enough to make that an actual reality, but not well enough for the Hornets to completely shut down those conversations and say, hey, we're not about it. I don't think that they're going to get the same return that they got from the Los Angeles Lakers, who were desperate for a big man. There was so much context around them getting that first-round pick from LA, but I think certainly they'll re-explore that conversation.
Well, we reference Rod Morrow a lot. He's a smart guy. Shout out to Rod, our guy. Yeah. But he tweeted out, when the Hornets made the Mark Wiilliams trade the first time, they made an offer that they couldn't refuse, Godfather style. They couldn't do it. You can't turn down the unprotected first, Dalton Connect, rolling over here in exchange for Mark Wiilliams, who has an injury history and had been faltering, certainly defensively, over the course of the, 3 weeks right before you traded him. So you couldn't refuse that. Even me, who is higher on Mark Wiilliams, I told you a million different times that you got more than the 100 cents on the dollar. You got more value coming in than you did sending Mark Wiilliams out. I don't think you're going to get that trade offer again. Right. So really what the question is, how much do the Hornets value Mark Wiilliams? I don't know how much we really answered that the first trade, because clearly they didn't want to bear hug him and not allow him to get out of Charlotte. Clearly there was a price, and that price was an unprotected first and another first-round pick in Dalton Connect that had shown signs of being something at the beginning of this season, and also that the Hornets reportedly liked during the draft process. So it was, okay, we like Mark, but I'm not turning this down, so I'll send him out. Well, what does that look like when you get to a trade that is closer to the actual value of what Mark Wiilliams brings to a team? I think that's what's going to be fascinating. So yeah, they're absolutely going to explore the trade market, or maybe they're just not going to shut it down either. I mean, they're going to see, okay, what do you want for Mark? And I'm fascinated to see what that trade package would be coming in return. And there's a shot they just don't trade him. You don't have to, right? No. There's no sense of urgency. We got to get off of this guy's contract. You're going to have your option on picking that up. And, I'm with you on the whole Mark Wiilliams has played well enough to restore some value. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do, right? You'd like for him to show you he can be your franchise center. We haven't gotten there, but I have been pleased overall over the last 2 weeks. I've been very pleased with the activity, with the signs of ascending in the right direction. It doesn't mean that he's the franchise center, but I've certainly liked what I've seen the last 2 weeks compared to what I saw earlier, because if it was happening there, then he wouldn't have restored his trade value.
I think you and I are finally aligned on Mark Wiilliams. For a long time, it's not like you and I were on opposite ends of the spectrum on Mark Wiilliams, but I don't think we saw completely eye to eye. I think now you and I are aligned. I totally agree with everything you said there.
I think we got there with once the injuries really took what his strengths were to me away. Yeah. Right? Because I valued what he brought more on the perimeter, and you wanted a banger down low, and I was fine with him not being that. But then once there were no benefits defensively because the body was wrecked, it's like, well, this sucks, man. Now, what do you do? And again, I was always understanding of the trade. Let's get back to the scuttlebutt in just a moment. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
LaMelo Ball!
Bees everywhere!
You ruined the tease again, man. It's my tease.
Sorry.
It's my tease.
I'm excited.
More offseason scuttlebutt. Plus, we'll dive into some mock drafts here in just a moment. Preview the Knicks game as well. All today, Locked On Hornets.
Mock drafts.
Before we get to some mock drafts and before we get to the scuttlebutt, I just like saying it, to be honest with you. This episode, it's a great word. Thank you for putting that on the bullet points. This episode is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, you can sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk, rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Game time? It's so beautiful to have you back in my life, Game Time. Thanks a ton. There's nothing like watching basketball live. The energy of the crowd, the sound of the sneakers on the hardwood, and maybe even a celebrity sighting courtside. If you want to catch a game in person, Game Time makes getting tickets easier than ever. Game Time's new feature, Game Time Picks, filters out all the fluff and shows you only the best deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time scrolling through thousands of tickets anymore. Plus, easy ticket shopping. You can check the Game Time app, and there are amazing deals on some huge matchups coming up. Plus, the super deals are there as well. Game Time Picks even highlights super deals, giving you the best bang for your buck, and it gives you peace of mind. With seat views before you buy, no surprise fees, a lowest price guarantee, you can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. I'm going to guess it's Locked On NBA.
It's Locked On NBA.
Go ahead and just put Locked On NBA in there. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDON NBA. That's Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time?
Game time.
More Locked On Hornets ahead. So in that whole snippet from the Stein line with Mark Wiilliams, the Hornets are expected to explore trade offers for their big man again. They are not expected to explore trade offers for LaMelo Ball, but maybe we can parse through that and try to figure out if that's true or not. Right. Just to reiterate, Marc Stein says the Hornets have tried to shut down similar speculation about star guard LaMelo Ball, but the reality remains that Wiilliams, Ball, and Brandon Miller have only played 18 games with one another. It's a weird word to put in there, right? Like, I'm not sure. You can do it pretty easily if you want. You receive a call, you say no thank you, and then you hang up the phone, and that's the entire process. So tried, I guess that could mean the Hornets have tried, but teams still call them. That makes some sense, I guess, if I talk it out like that you say no to every team that does call you, but the calls keep coming. I expect them to keep coming, Doug. This is a team that has lost a bajillion games, okay? When you have still interesting enough players that warrant interest from other teams, like LaMelo, who has an all-star appearance under his belt at age 23 and one of the best passers in the game. When you have Mark Wiilliams, who is still intriguing enough if you feel like you can get to a healthier space in his life, then you can get back to some perimeter defense, and we've already gone through all the skill set that a healthy Mark is supposed to bring you. Yeah, interesting enough players. Miles Bridges, speaking for himself, the second half or really even post-All-Star break. So they're going to field the calls. The real question is, what does Jeff Peterson do with those phone calls?
Yeah, I think this is trying to shut down similar speculation in the way that you try to explain that you have no control whether someone flirts with you or not, okay? I cannot control another person flirting with me. I just put myself out there and it happens, okay? You have to understand that. But I'm not doing anything. I'm not acting on it. I'm not doing anything about it. But I cannot control what other people do with their eyeballs. That's what this sounds like to me. The people are calling, and the Hornets are not saying definitively, get the word out, hands off LaMelo Ball, he's part of our future, no ifs, ands, or buts. I think the Hornets will... what they don't want to happen is for this to get like super ugly and super public. Yeah. And so I think that's where the care is being taken. But I don't read any of these reports as saying the Hornets are definitively moving forward with LaMelo Ball. I mean, how could you when the shooting is this bad, when the points per shot attempt are at a career low, when the usage is at a career high, when the losses keep piling up, losses on losses on losses. I just don't know how you could stop speculation on any player. We had a conversation on yesterday's show. Is there a single player on this roster that you wouldn't eject into the sun in order to get access to Cooper Flagg and all of the promise that means? And Cooper Flagg's not Wemby, and you and I both said no. And that's less a reflection of what Cooper Flagg could be, and probably more of, at least on my end, more of a reflection of just not being able to see any results from what we've had. And yes, there's tons of context. We spend every day talking about it. Injuries, coaching changes, all of these things, not investing in the roster several years ago. Like, all of that goes into it. But at the same time, you would be crazy not to open yourself up to conversations, particularly if you can sell a team on overvaluing LaMelo Ball and what their system could do, and save yourself from the nightmare scenario, which is another LaMelo Ball ankle injury, half a season loss, and now you're on the hook for $40+ million over the next few seasons, and it's a contract suddenly you can't get rid of. To me, honestly, I think this offseason, in terms of a LaMelo Ball trade, is almost now or never.
Yeah, for me, there's a couple things. You mentioned that it was more about LaMelo. For me, it really is way more about Cooper Flagg. I think he's going to be the real deal, and so I don't want to miss out on that talent. And it's somewhat of a moot point. You're not going to... I mean, you have a high pick. The good news is the Hornets don't have to trade up in the NBA draft to go get Cooper Flagg, meaning that they would have to part ways with their talent that they have on their roster. They might just get there all on their own with that number 1 overall pick. So how would you get rid of LaMelo to go secure it? I mean, I guess if the Wizards really wanted some showtime and they got the first pick and the Hornets ended up with the 4th overall selection, maybe that's how that would happen. But my perfect scenario is running this thing with Cooper Flagg, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo next year. And then what happens with Mark, what happens with Miles, I'd like to still capitalize and try to gain more assets with all the second-round picks that Jeff Peterson has been able to accumulate as well. But I think LaMelo Ball makes life easier for any rookie that you draft, and I value that. So even if LaMelo has shown you that we can do the Tyrese Halliburton, the Cade Cunningham, the Darius Garland of it all, whatever, I think LaMelo helps whatever rookie you draft at top 5. And I don't want to continue to put these top 5 rookies in terrible situations like LaMelo was put before, like Brandon Miller has been put in this time. So now, instead of just getting rid of the talented pieces and then putting Cooper Flagg in the terrible situation, how about we try to enhance that as much as possible? But you are right. If there's a team that comes in with an offer you can't refuse, then hell yeah, it's probably time. Or you could explore whether it's that time. Like, I could see... Oh, my God. I mean, he's about to go into his 6th season. It's crazy. It's crazy that he's going into his 6th season. But it's just from our own failures. It's not even LaMelo's fault. It's from our own failures. It's just time for everybody to move on and wash our hands, and LaMelo can go salvage some winning portion of his career with a different franchise, and then we can just tip our cap, say thank you for the seat filler, those types of games, and all the popcorn boxes that you sold, and you can go do that with a different team. I think that's why you have to explore it. But even still, if I had it my way, I'd still keep LaMelo and try to pair him with Cooper Flagg or whatever the rookie is.
Final thing for me, these rumors are not going away, particularly if the Hornets somehow land the 2nd overall selection in the NBA draft and are in line to select Dylan Harper. Then I think the rumors get even more fuel to that fire. And if you want, this is what I would keep in mind as you read rumors from now through this next offseason. If you're an organization that wants to trade a player with the talent level of LaMelo Ball, with an all-star under his belt, with some of the results, what you definitely don't want to do is like call all around the league saying, hey, LaMelo Ball is available. What do you want for him? And we would love to trade LaMelo Ball. And you definitely don't want to make that public, because all that's going to do is going to make you look desperate. It's going to make you look like, why do they continue to have these conversations?
And they don't want to lose leverage. Right. Leverage it. Right. Yeah.
So if you want to maximize your value, what you do is you say, I don't think I'm that interested until that critical moment, which is particularly like around the NBA draft, when the time gets compressed. Then when the calls are flying, when the phones are flying, that's when you start to say, all right, yes, we are interested in making this happen.
And the other thing is, why let it be known that you're interested if the calls keep coming anyway? It's a perfect scenario. Right. You can say we're not interested, and then you keep fielding phone calls, and that can be it. So you're right. They don't have to say that they're interested right now. And they might not be to a certain degree, but it's just nuance with every situation. And LaMelo is real nuance right now.
If they're not interested, they're insane. I'm not saying that they have to move LaMelo Ball, but if you're not interested in having those conversations, then I really worry about the future of the franchise.
Yeah. I mean, not interested in trading LaMelo at outright. Like, we got to get off of him. That's what I'm talking about. You got to have the combos. One more segment to go. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere.
Yesterday, we had a preview bullet point, or 2 days ago, and then we never got to it. So we're going to get to the preview bullet point, but we also have to get to the mock drafts. We still have 2 bullet points to take care of. So we try. We also try. Stein line. That's coming up next, last segment. This episode is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Upwork connects you with top freelance talent across IT, AI, web development, marketing, and more. Whether you need an extra hand for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Posting a job is free and it's simple, and often gives you multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Visit Upwork.com. You can post your job for free today. That's UPWORK. Upwork.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business now. More Locked On Hornets ahead.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Doug, you promised the people a whole bunch of mock drafts a long time ago. This is the kind of promise that feel like you would deliver on. Usually, this is your world, this is your bag, this is your satchel. But now we do have those mock drafts that you promised the people, except maybe in a little different way. Explain to the people what you're about to give them now.
Well, so first of all, I've not promised anything. I've not yet started my mock draft today. Check the tape. Do check the tape, because I think even on that episode, I said I'm not ready yet to go mock draft today, because
you said mock draft Mondays. You said mock draft Mondays is what you said a long time ago. I can't let you get away with this one from the people. Like, this
I was out on Monday. I've got no control when I'm out. Fair. I'm out. I can't do anything when I'm out. Okay. Where was your mock draft on Monday? Where's your episode on Monday? By the way, people are worried about us.
Gone. Yeah, so it was completely gone. You should be worried about me. I'm not well.
All right, so I'm not ready to do that because the mock drafters are not ready, but they're getting the engines primed with March Madness here, and we have a ton of mock drafts. I don't know how many I'm going to get to, because I want to update everyone, first of all, on where the Hornets are in terms of this NBA draft. So 17-51 is the record right now. They are a game up on the New Orleans Pelicans for third worst in the NBA. That would give them... They have those, the top 3 odds that you want, the 14% chance at the number 1 overall pick and a 52% chance at a top 4 pick. And then, but you would love to get to 2, because then your odds of not dropping below 5 really increase. And of course, I don't think they're going to get to 1 with Washington. Washington's still too bad. But then you really you're going to lock yourself into a 5 or better pick at that point. So that's where the Hornets stand in terms of odds. So I thought what we would do here, Walker, if you're okay with this, is sim the lottery on Tankathon and then just pick a random mock draft and see who they would select. I mean, obviously, if it's one, we'll move on because we talked about Cooper Flag yesterday. But let's do it. You ready? You ready to sim the lottery?
So ready, yeah. Sim it.
Simming. Okay, not great. Not a great start. The Hornets, they fall 3 spots. I think that's the max that they could fall. They go all the way down to 7. Toronto jumps 6 spots. Brooklyn jumps 4 spots. The Rockets, via Phoenix, jump 10 spots to the 3rd overall selection. So Washington, Utah, and Charlotte all max out their drops with 4. So Charlotte going to 7. My God. All right. Nightmare scenario here for the Charlotte Hornets. And I'm scrolling on NBA.com's latest mock draft. Jonathan Wasserman of the Bleacher Report providing this yesterday at 8:56 a.m. If the Hornets were to stay at 3, he's got them taking VJ Edgecombe instead of Ace Bailey. That's an interesting conversation, giving up on Ace Bailey and going for VJ Edgecombe. I wonder if that's more about fit than anything, and I don't think they should be thinking fit. But if you go down to 7, and I don't know that the Hornets would take, because this mock draft is using some teams here, but they've got Jonathan has Kaman Malawash from Duke, the center, at 7. I don't think the Hornets would make that pick.
Yeah, so I do think, one, nightmare scenario. You fall to 7, all of this losing again, and you fall to 7 would be really tough. It doesn't mean you can't get a great player. It just means it would be really tough to stomach that. But I do think in terms of roster building, it probably gives you the most interesting scenario in terms of how the Hornets are going to attack it, because now you're in center land. Are you really going to go after a center and then officially move on from Mark Wiilliams? Because you have 2. You have 2 centers that you could go ahead and take. You could go with Malawash from Duke, or you could go with Derek Queen, not his guy, out of Maryland. And they are very, 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 very different players. They are very different styles.
So just real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to let you know that Wasserman has Derek Queen going top 5 to the Brooklyn Nets.
That's the highest I've seen him go. So, yeah, that's interesting. But if the Hornets got him at 7, then I guess Was would like him. I'm looking at Sam Vecini. He has Derek Queen going 9 to Chicago in this mock draft. I actually haven't seen Malawash go in the top 10. He has him falling all the way down to 14. The center position, I think, is the most interesting thing here, Doug. Are you officially going to move on from Mark, assuming that he hadn't been traded, which we probably shouldn't assume that. There's an opportunity for the Hornets to have traded him already by the time that they get to the NBA draft. And now you need a center more so than you might have to move on from Mark, and you just don't know for sure. But I think those 2 guys would be the most interesting names to monitor at that point in the draft.
His pro comparison, according to Jonathan Wasserman, is Mark Wiilliams.
Who, Malawash?
Yeah. Not interested. I'm not interested. So I bought a Nintendo Switch a long time ago, and for years, it's a game console. For years, it worked really well. Loved it. And then the controllers, the little, I don't know what they call them, Joy-Cons, I think they call them. They started to break. They started to drift. And it's a known issue with these Nintendo Switches, Joy-Con drift. And so you couldn't even play. I mean, I would have had to buy, new Joy-Cons or something. But I just stopped playing with it. The controller was breaking. I'm trying to play the game. It's getting in my way. It's broken. If I go to buy another handheld console again, I'm not going to buy a Nintendo Switch, even if it's a Nintendo Switch 2. You know why? Because I don't have trust anymore that the thing's going to work. I would go buy a Steam Deck. I'd buy a PlayStation, just any other game console than the one that was broken the whole time and frustrated me. So that's the analogy here. I just don't know why the Hornets, I couldn't fathom them going back to the well on the same exact type of player as Mark Wiilliams in Malawash, unless Malawash has some secret shot that I don't know of. I would much rather them look at the guy that was taken 10th overall in this mock draft, Con Knippel. who is 6'6", 217, can shoot the daylights out. People say there's a lot more to his game than just being a shot maker. He gets sort of unfairly tagged with that because he's a white guy from Wisconsin, and those guys tend to be shooters. And, I think there's much more to his game. I would love for them to go after a guy like that. Or, and again, I'm going to be a little lax here because I haven't done my full, drafting research. But I can't imagine them going for a guy like Malawash to go. I want them to go after a center that can shoot. Just try something different.
Yeah. Would you get your Dalton Connect if we want to do the whole white guy comparison thing? If you just go after Con Knipple, would you get your Dalton Connect that you traded for, but you don't have to trade for him if you selected him here within the top 10? I do think that Mark Wiilliams and Malawash are different players. To be honest with you, this is where our opinions probably differ again. I value the type of player that a healthy Mark Wiilliams could be more than what Kaman Malawash is. Now, he just started playing basketball not too long ago. He's still learning a lot of the details of the game, whatever. I'm kind of out on him right now. Maybe something changes in the tournament, but I will say it was funny how I said he's not a shooter, and then in the ACC tournament against North Carolina, Malawash hit a three-pointer. He did.
Come on.
He hit his third three-pointer of the year, but he did hit a three-pointer. You want to give a preview with the Knicks?
Yeah, my preview is the Knicks are coming off a terrible loss to the San Antonio Spurs, and I think they're going to look to exact some revenge on this second night of a back-to-back in Charlotte. It's all going to be dependent on who they play. Let me take a look at the injury. I looked at the injury report for the Hornets. Moussa Diabate questionable with right knee soreness. Sometimes these injury reports are interesting until the official diagnosis comes out. So I'm going to say, I guess that's positive in that we don't know for sure that it's a bad injury, but I would just say hold your breath on that one because they could very well come out and say, actually, it's now that we've looked at it, it's actually this, and he's out, for 2 to 3 weeks or whatever for the rest of the season. But at least we don't know that now. But in terms of the New York Knicks, not yet submitted. So don't know, this could be an opportunity for Cat and Mikal Bridges to get some rest. No Jalen Brunson, he's still out with an ankle sprain. But if those guys play, I think if you're the Hornets, if you can keep this thing within 20, that's a win. This is an incredible New York Knicks offense. You're going to be able to score a few points. If Mark Wiilliams plays, it'll be interesting to see how well he plays against Cat, because if they play all of their starters, you can't hide, who are you going to hide Mark Wiilliams on? Because he said he's had trouble guarding stretch bigs, and the Hornets have tried to do some adjustments to counter that. But who do you guard? Because it's OG Anunoby. The forwards all shoot. So this will be an interesting matchup.
Well, and they want him to roam, and you can't roam on a stretch big. So it's like, what do you want him to do? He's got to go out there on Cat, and it's going to be tough. DeQuan Jeffries' revenge game. That's my analysis for this one. Just watch out for a big-time performance for DeQuan Jeffries. You mentioned DeQuan Jeffries, which reminds me that I read, so I think it's from F5, which is a really cool stats. I think it's on Substack. But I was reading it via Basketball Poetry, but F5 was either Basketball Poetry or F5 was doing a most underrated players. I think it was F5. They were doing most underrated players, and what they did was they took performance and measured it against how much a player's basketball reference page was pulled up. And DeQuan Jeffries overperformed his basketball reference page, but he was the lowest of the low. No one was searching for poor DeQuan Jeffries. Well, guess what, DeQuan? We're searching. We're looking at your basketball reference page. We, the Hornets sickos, salute you for all of your contributions this season. I tried giving you a shout, but I got yelled at. I tried my best, and that eventually, then we can drive that traffic up on your basketball reference page a little bit more. We salute you. Another shout, 2 in a row for DeQuan Jeffries. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast, and that does include YouTube. There's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. You can also listen to him on Locked On NBA every weekday with Matt Moore and Hayes. I'm Walker Mehl. Again, listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. We'll be out of Platform Sports Bar and Grill, South Boulevard. Come check us out, say what's up, and watch the tournament with us. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow. I just want Eric Collins to say nipple.